It was my own stepsister, sitting in my kitchen, wearing my robe. I remember the way the kettle screamed while my husband spoke softly, like he was asking for a favor. My stepsister sat at my kitchen island, legs crossed, wearing my robe, my mug in her hands. He said I had to accept the new arrangement or leave with nothing. I smiled. I told them I'd be gone in 72 hours. That smile wasn't weakness, it was a countdown. We didn't start like this. We started with promises whispered into pillowcases and hands reaching for each other in the dark. He liked to say I was too smart for my own good, as if intelligence was a quirk instead of a warning. I built my life carefully. He walked into it confidently. I let him. That part is on me. My stepsister came later, after my mother remarried, after the funerals, after the polite dinners where she watched instead of spoke. She learned early that envy works best when it's quiet. I mistook her silence for loyalty, another error I corrected. The changes came slowly. His phone never faced up anymore. She laughed too hard at his jokes. My credit card app sent notifications I didn't recognize. Nothing explosive, just enough static to make me alert. I didn't cry when I found the messages. I didn't scream when I traced the charges back to a Shell account with his signature on it. I felt something colder settle in. Focus, relief even. Betrayal clarifies things. It strips the fog away. I didn't confront them then. I watched. I let them believe I was tired, distracted, defeated. I let them underestimate me because people like them always do. My husband thought the money was his because it paid for his suits, his cars, his friends. He never asked where it came from. He never wanted to know. I handled the boring stuff. He handled the lifestyle. My little hobby. That's what I used to call it when he asked why I stayed up late, why I took calls in another room, why my laptop was always locked. He didn't realize hobby meant private equity acquisitions through a web of holding companies I'd built long before him. He didn't realize every asset he enjoyed sat on foundations with my fingerprints all over them. The house was in a trust. The cars were leased through my firm. His business ventures were funded by lines of credit I controlled. I spent the first 24 hours calling lawyers who owed me favors, the next 24 rerouting funds, freezing accounts, triggering clauses he'd never bothered to read, the last 24 preparing the stage. When I came back, the house was quiet, too quiet. They were waiting in the living room, smug and impatient. He started to speak. I handed him a folder. His name dissolved first, then hers. The color drained slowly, like a bad film reel. He asked questions that didn't deserve answers. I told him the truth, that he'd been living inside my patience, that she'd mistaken access for power, that betrayal doesn't hurt as much when you've already outgrown the people doing it. My stepsister cried, not from remorse, from realization. He threatened. Men always do when they feel small. I stood there calmly and explained how the next hour would go. The movers, the locks, the bank calls, the board notifications. I told him he could leave quietly or loudly, but either way, he was leaving empty-handed. The silence afterward was surgical. I watched them walk out carrying nothing but their arrogance and a shared panic they didn't yet know how to survive. The door closed. The house exhaled. Now, when I think back to that kitchen scene, the robe, the mug, the audacity, I don't feel anger. I feel gratitude. They forced my hand. They reminded me who I was before I softened myself for love. Revenge wasn't loud. It didn't need witnesses. It just needed timing. I kept my smile, I kept my life, and I kept my hobby. They lost everything else.